They have arguably the best road course racer in NASCAR history, their oval guy, and one of the top prospects in NASCAR. What can Trackhouse Racing do in 2026? Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dirty Air. I'm your host, Alex Lambert, for a Tuesday edition of the show today. Not a whole lot of new breaking NASCAR news coming out so far this week. I did want to talk a little bit about going into this NASCAR season, a team that's very interesting to me, which is going to be Trackhouse Racing, a very diverse team. When you look at what these drivers can do, we'll talk a little bit about that. I do want to mention that last Tuesday, there was a test at North Wilkesboro. So remember last Monday, it was announced that NASCAR would release a new championship format. The playoffs are gone. The chase is back. 16 driver chase. That was a big deal. Well, that day after, on Tuesday, they did a test with 750 horsepower. They've previously been running a little bit less, around 670, which is a decline from what they ran before entering this next-gen car. Well, there were some comments about that test from drivers, and it seems like North Wilkesboro, it seems like with the higher horsepower and maybe a little bit faster speeds, that the tire was wearing a little bit more than we've previously seen. And once again, this is in January. It was cold. It was a cold day at the racetrack in North Wilkesboro. Interesting. Just wanted to touch up on that. Cold weather would mean the tires would wear less, I would think. So under the hotter conditions, when we do race there in July, it is a mid-July race at night, granted, but it is still going to be hot in North Carolina in mid-July. I know that should be interesting to see the difference for a 450-lap North Wilkesboro race. The first race at North Wilkesboro since the 90s when Jeff Gordon won. I know we've had the All-Star race there, but the first official points race on the stat sheet, NASCAR Cup race at North Wilkesboro since the 90s when Jeff Gordon took home the trophy. So that's an exciting date to look forward to this midsummer, July 20th, around that. I know it's right around my birthday, but yeah, big event. Looking forward to that. But I do want to say something quick about this. I think North Wilkesboro is the best short track on the schedule from everything we've seen so far. I'm going to exclude Bowman Gray or a quarter mile because it's not a points race. I think North Wilkesboro is a very solid short track. When we watch the on-track product, it was a good all-star race last year. I would have rather seen a test be done maybe at Martinsville or something of that nature, because we have seen some more issues where you just cannot pass at Martinsville. That seems to be the main track we've had issues. The main short track we've had issues. Iowa's been a little bit better with on-track passing. Iowa's been pretty good as far as a short track. We used to do this test in Phoenix, which is kind of a weird track because it's not technically a short track, but it drives like one, so you can count it. So interesting to see what the short track package will look. I think we're going in the right direction by increasing the horsepower. And when I say, I don't want to be like, oh, one driver dominates the race, that makes it a bad race. No, that's not the issue. The issue is when you cannot pass. You can't do it. Not when somebody's blocking you or making it hard for you to pass them. When you can't do it because of dirty air, that's when it's an issue. I just want to be clear on that. If somebody goes out and dominates a Martinsville race, but that's because they were just the best car, best driver that day, that's a different story. But anyway, let's talk about what I wanted to make this video for. Like I said, midweek edition. We've got some storylines to follow going into this season. Once again, Corey LaJoie will be filling in for Brad Kay at Bowman Gray in a few days or just a couple of weeks from now for that exhibition race. Daytona 500, only 26 days away. But I wanted to talk a little bit about Trackhouse Racing on this midweek edition of the show because they have a very interesting and diverse team going into the 2026 NASCAR season. It's going to be fun to watch this team. I want to see what they can do because I don't know where Trackhouse's peak is. I mean, they're not a Penske, they're not a Hendrick, they're not a Joe Gibbs, but they're like maybe second tier, maybe right below them. Which is interesting. I don't know where their peak is. We've seen them run for championships in the opening year of the new car, but then they've certainly slipped from that as the bigger teams figured it out. How good could Trackhouse get? I don't know, but I think when I look at what drivers they have very successful drivers and drivers with a lot of potential, right? And let's start with Ross Chastain, right? The guy that's been there the longest. He was there the second year the team founded, first to come in after Daniel Suarez, and had a phenomenal year right out the gate. 2 wins, which I'd say is successful. Granted, one of those was at Talladega, one of those was at a road course, but then after that, he has won a lot of races at your standard, typical NASCAR racetracks, right? Phoenix was one, Kansas has won, the Coca-Cola 600 last year, Crown Jewel, big race last year for Ross Chastain winning, but only one win the last 2 years apiece. So certainly that's interesting too, both of them at 1.5 miles. Ross Chastain is a driver, I say, that now has a lot of experience. I would consider him a very experienced NASCAR driver in the Cup Series now. But can he get back to that step he was in 2022, or at least contending for more race wins? He's solid every week. He's going to make the playoffs, but can he contend for race wins and be one of those teams to step up and try to at least push those guys at Hendrick, Gibbs, and Penske to run for a NASCAR championship? We'll see. It'll be fun to watch next year. If anybody can do that on that team next year, it'll be Ross. Like, I don't expect SVG, I don't expect the rookie to push for a championship run, but I do expect Ross Chastain to at least be in the mix, right? And I want to see that from Ross. He's an interesting figure, one of those more popular drivers in the garage now. Want to watch what he can do moving forward. Let's move over to Shane Van Gisbergen going into his second NASCAR full-time Cup Series season, right? Now, once again, an interesting thing to follow for SVG this year, besides we can talk about what he's going to do in the playoff, what he's going to do at the road courses, is he can break a record that Jeff Gordon holds the most NASCAR Cup Series road course wins in history with 9. That record's been in place for my whole life. It's been in place for a long time. It could be broke this year, right? With multiple road courses on the schedule now, SVG is, from what we know going into this season, SVG is far ahead of everybody else on the NASCAR Cup circuit at the road courses. Can somebody catch him? I don't know. We'll see. But right now, SVG is going to be the favorite going into each race. When we go to Circuit of the Americas for the third race of this season, SVG will be the favorite, no doubt. He will be the odds-on favorite to win the race, and he's going to be a competitor unless something crazy happens. That's what's going to be interesting. And that's what's interesting. Like, Ross Chastain is that 1.5 miles, that oval guy that can coach SVG on the ovals. SVG is that road course guy, an exceptional, one of the probably arguably the best road course racer in the history of NASCAR, helping Ross Chastain get better at the road courses, which we now have a lot of. And then you have this rookie, Connor Zilisch, coming in that's been incredible, one of the highest prospects in the NASCAR up-and-coming series, now entering the Cup Series full-time. It'll be fun to see what he can do. He had a successful stint in a few races last year, right? Ran at Circuit of the Americas for his first start a year ago. Connor Zilisch did. So exciting team this year. That leads me into Connor Zilisch once again. I don't know what to expect from Connor Zilisch. My concern with these rookies, and it's very similar to what we see with Ty Gibbs, and it's a real concern, is that when you watch the Truck Series or you watch the Xfinity Series, they're very similar to a NASCAR car from 2016 or 2021 or that era where NASCAR was in the Generation 6 car. Well, with this new NASCAR car with 5 gears, more downforce, it's so much different from the trucks, the Xfinity, the ARCA cars. It's so much different than any other race car raced on an oval racing series. That's my concern for when these rookies come up, because now it's such a, almost like a different sport in that level. I know it's still a lot of similarities, but it's so much different. It's so much higher pressure. So when Connor Zilisch gets to the Cup Series, could we see a Ty Gibbs where he doesn't win a race in the first 3 years or so, or starts to struggle his sophomore or third season? I don't want to see that from Connor Zilisch. He seems to have a great personality. We want to build stars in NASCAR. I think Connor Zilisch could be one, but he's got to get wins eventually. I don't want to put pressure on him, say he's going to win multiple races rookie season, but when we get to that second year, that third year, how close is Connor Zilisch getting to potentially winning a race? Where's he at with the rest of the team, SVG and Ross Chastain? That's what I want to see. Interesting team going into this 2026 season is going to be Trackhouse. Again, we have a lot of road courses on the schedule. SVG trying to break the road course record. Ross Chastain trying to get back up there to competing for a championship or pushing those big guys to race harder for a championship. And then you have the biggest up-and-coming star we've seen for a long time in the Cup Series, probably since Ty Gibbs, entering in a full-time Cup Series season. It'll be fun to watch. That's really it. All there is to talk about today. Of course, we'll try to do a video next week. Got the Clash coming up, which is going to be very exciting. And of course, let's get rowdy.